you know, Miguel own a press. Is the only Rasta in Jamaica that is keeping the struggle vibrant, that I know own a press, that has seen it fit to press and republish the utterances of Haile Selassie the first, and we give thanks to that because that is so much of an important document to I and I. You know, we would hope that every Rasta man and woman have a copy of that book because it is available, and Miguel Lorne has made it available to Rasta people so that we can now read what Haile Selassie say on different topics and different subjects, because we have already know what Isaiah say, and we don't know what Jeremiah say, and we don't know what Ezekiel say. So as Rasta now, we need to know the man who is the center and the pivotal point of our consciousness. We need to know what him say on different topics. So we give thanks to Miguel to have that foresight to republish that book. As a matter of fact, it's the only book I read and see night say any part of this book can be reprinted without any authority from anybody. You understand? So you can, you know, we give that to that. Where's Miguel?
Yeah, man. That is the foresight of Emperor Haile Selassie, you know. That him really never put no limit on his words. So you can multiply it, expand it, publish it, reprint it. All you have to do is just give it the dignity that it deserves. Yes. And just expand it through the earth.
Yeah, man. And we give thanks to say, as we said before, that the eye has seen it, you know, to really republish it. There's no excuse. Because, you know, we go to Ethiopia and we used to get it off of the street, you know. We go to Ethiopia, we buy it in bulk from the youth, them, and come back to Jamaica with them. But now, when we go to Ethiopia, we hardly see them on the street again, you know. We don't see them again. It's either we buy them out or whatsoever. But no, it can be a continuous thing, you know. We can now have it without waiting for someone to go to Ethiopia to bring a copy of it to us, you know. So we give thanks to that.
And you know, some of the other books like the Holy Pibi, you know that in South Africa they did a big feature on the Pibi, which we brought back out. They did a feature on it in the newspapers in South Africa. They did a television program on the book, The Holy Pibi.
Yeah?
Yes, and in fact, because the brother who wrote The Holy Pibi, Ashley Rogers, he had set up a branch of the church in Kimberley in South Africa. And they have relocated the site where he had set up that church. And in fact, now are doing a television documentary to which they have invited myself and Brother Seiko to come down in, I think it's February,
in South Africa
to help to, you know,
that sounds good.
Let them know more about the Holy Pibi.
If you don't, for the listeners them who don't know what we're referring to, can I expound upon it? What
the Holy Pibi is one of the early books that influenced the Rastafari movement. Books like the Holy Pibi, the Promised Key, the Royal Parchment Scroll, and so on. The Holy Pibi was written by a brother named Ashley Rogers. He's really from Anguilla, but he was living in New York, in New Jersey. And it's a book, some we refer to it as the Holy Pibi or the Black Man's Bible. It's a book which is really, it hit out strongly against the Bible, the Holy Bible as it is. It hit out strongly against even the word church, and it hit out strongly against that old Adam-Abraham ring, as it were. It is a strongly Ethiopic book, and it points people to the God of Ethiopia. And it came out in the 1920s, 1924. And we see it as a book that we should republish, and so on. And you see, the only difference between those strong, vibrant brothers and I is that we go higher now and say the God of Ethiopia is Haile Selassie, you know, in terms of making people understand the omnipresent, the omnipotent, and so on. But they are already pointed persons to the Almighty, to Ethiopia, and we have carried it that step further.
All right, you know, over a couple the past weeks, especially, about 2 weeks ago, I was in Miami attending this banquet, Rastafari banquet, and I was a guest speaker, and I was trying to show people, and I don't know how you can relate to it, that the Rastafari did not come with the crowning of Haile Selassie. the advent of Rastafari was there before in crown. But because that is the reason why we say Rastafari. Because there was a group of people who was recognizing Rastafari.
Yes.
And then when he was crowned now, this was now to validate
definitely
whatever we were saying and what the Marcus Garvey alright. You see, there's a lot of people who joined the Marcus Garvey movement as UNIA members. But when Rastafari was crowned Haile Selassie now, this validated these UNIA members who were Christians minded into the consciousness now that this Jesus Christ, according to how they were preaching it in the UNIA, who was supposed to come now. When Haile Selassie crown now, these UNIA members started to validate their thinking, their Christian thinking, with the crowning of Haile Selassie.
Definitely.
But the name, you see, that is why we never changed the name to Haile Selassie.
Right.
Because there was man who was seeing the regent, Rastafari, before.
That is absolutely correct. Those are the facts. That before 1930, 1920s, 1970s, have evidence in Jamaica of Rastafarian brethren's healing for Haile Selassie. He was an emperor then.
He was Rastafari.
But you just call him Rastafari, and therefore we were called Rastafarians. At that time, they tend to use Ras and Tafari as two separate words. As time goes by, it becomes one word.
Yes.
So up until now, the crowning was really the announcement to the world that I am here, I am He, I am the Almighty. That was what the crowning was all about in 1930. But before that, many of I and I had recognized him.
Rastafari.
Most definitely, yes. And we were persecuted for it.
Before 1930.
Before 1930. We had many of I and I.
Documents. As a man who scrolled all newspapers and you have any documents of the what you call the persecution of these, whatever they call the before 1930. Before 1930.
Before 1930. The Gleaner have 1920. The Pibby. The Pibby was, when it came out in 1924, it was banned in Jamaica.
Yes.
The Royal Parchment Scroll, the Gleaner called it rubbish. And the people who read this, them is rubbish too.
Yes.
Before 1930, we were called South Sea cannibals. The Gleaner.
How you think the ones them before 1930 got this understanding about Tafari, Makonnen? How you think them get it?
I think at the end of during the war, before the war, well, you might even have to go even further back, because the persecution that Ethiopia was going under, which culminated in the Battle of Adwa. Ethiopia had about...
the Battle of Adwa was before Haile Selassie.
Yes, 1896. But you had 13 wars in about 20 years that Ethiopia fought with the dervishes, that is the Muslims and so on, Italians and the British. Several wars, which culminated in the Battle of Adwa. From the Battle of Adwa now, it led up to the First World War. And black people now...
This is 1914.
1914, right.
Haile Selassie was about 1892-14, about 20 years old.
Yes, 14 and 1892, yes.
Was about 14.
Right. Yes, 14 and 8. Yes, that will make him 20 odd. Yes. But what you find now is that generally, black people were searching at that time in Jamaica, all over the world. You had even people before the Marcus Garvey movement. You had Edward Blyden, brother there from down in St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. You had a brother named Love.
Who influenced Marcus.
From Nassau. Bahamas. And they had the Back to Africa call too.
Yes.
You know, you had the ex-slaves from places like, because I must remember now, in places like Brazil, Cuba. This is a shortly after slavery abolition of those places, 1870s and all of that. So you had these people now longing to return home. So black people in the West was really searching now and said, look man, whatever the white man teach we is wrong. We have to search now for our black God, our creator, our identity, our black Jesus, and so on. So there's a whole evidence to show that before 1930, the crowning, Haile Selassie was
what I
revered.
want to find out, you see, in the history, you see, is how or who make the link in a Jamaica with Rastafari, not with Haile Selassie. You see, I want to find how the link did make with Rastafari, because we know of, as we said, the advent of Haile Selassie. But there must have been something happening before 1930 that really excite black people.
Yes,
with Rastafari.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because the books now, like the Holy Pibby, Royal Parchment Scroll, Promise Key, and many of these books pointed to the god of Ethiopia.
Yes, and that was before 1930.
And that's before 1930. All of these early books, and even the other books that came out late 1890s, the people always look to the god of, point to the god of Ethiopia. Now, I don't think they meant the present geographical Ethiopia. I think they were more thinking of the wider Africa.
Ethiopia, the land of the burnt fields.
Definitely, of black people generally. So with that, those type of prophecies now, pointing people in that direction, I think when Haile Selassie came on Rastafari, before Haile Selassie, when he came on the scene, he was gradually seen as that Masonic one.
Yeah, because he was kind of almost very influential during the time of Zadi too.
From very early.
Yes, he was,
early.
The one who was opening up.
Yes.
Ethiopia to certain things.
And also when diplomats and other people went to Ethiopia, they felt that if you don't get Haile Selassie's word, you don't really have the government's word.
Rastafari word.
Yes.
As regent.
As regent.
That time he was king, not king of kings. He was king, not king of kings.
Even when he was even governor of Harare.
Yes.
Very powerful too.
Yes. This is the continent and IRFM where we're just warming up. We're warming up because we want to get a picture and understand and clear thinking, because what I am trying to instill in my brethren them as Rastafari, that Rastafari and the history of Rastafari and the teachings of Haile Selassie and the liberty of I and I as Rastafari is so vast that we still don't tap into it yet. And we have spent almost 2,000 years tapping into the Bible, right? Which I am now saying that now we have had enough. And we need now to tap into what we were saying and what we are saying about Ethiopia, about Rastafari. And there's so much things that we still not really penetrate yet. That right now we should have spent the rest of our life or try to penetrate it.
Most definitely. And as a matter of fact, this is why I am encouraging the young Rastafarians now.
Yes.
Because I and I know we had to liberate our minds. Go through some whole heap of struggles with the parents, the barber, that and so on, the police, whole heap of things. So that took up a lot of our energy and our time and early spirit, And we lost many brethren along the way, many bright brethren. But these younger youths now can move straight into it.
Definitely.
And they can, and they can get straight into analyzing. Because I'm of the view, Haile Selassie has given us the cement, the mortar, the sand, the stone. What we build now is important. So I don't want a man just tell me give thanks to life. Every time I book up, give thanks to life and all of that. What do you do with that life? What have you made? What have you created? Have you made a pen we can write? You must do something. Father give you life.
It's not just about having life. Even the dogs have life. Even the pig have life.
The Father do that already. What you doing now to enhance the glory?
Life.
Yes.
And this continuity of life.
Definitely.
And that is very important. We need to make a pen.
You must do something, man.
You must make pen.
Yes. You can't just come from the earth and tell me give thanks to life.
Food every day.
It's a man that grow the food that you eat. It's a man that sit down and just give thanks to life.
Yes. I agree with you. Continue, IRFM. All right. Recently, the I and others had a discussion with the minister of what do you call him? Remember the man
National Security.
Minister of National Security, KD Knight. And would I like to carry through what was the meeting all about and what What did I present to him and what came out of that meeting there?
Well, we met with KD Knight and we were seeking three things. Well, when we met with him, we just decided to just plan a march. Just plan a march. And we march from King Ital restaurant up to Oxford Road with KD Knight offices. We never have no appointment or anything like that. Because we feel if we try to make appointment and so them just dodge we out. So we just march, go up in office and take them by total surprise. He wasn't there, so I'm sending for him. So when them coming with vex, well vex. You know, as we say, boy, thing on, like when I do the demonstration up here, so on, you know what I'm going to do? Anyway, so the meeting now started out, it was like a war, Muta. War, and as you mentioned that now, because one night, Sister Flo had KD Night on the program, and even some of the listeners had to call in and say, boy, you know, it's a pity Muta wasn't here for. Because it will be a war with you and him, so it will be a war. I tell you, I see. Yes, that means I try to call it up and say, you know, Muta has never invited me, you know.
Well, actually, I've never invited a politician at the country, and I don't tend to start.
Not only that, because when you don't, you won't want to come back.
Yeah, that's you know, them man, they get enough of your time during the day, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, man, you have a man named Bruce Gold in Rasta. Every day, he's up on a talk show, you know.
Yes.
I tell you, every day, I think if I just make a record, I just make it just play it.
Yes.
Because the man, I mean, them get enough time during the day.
Yes.
So this program I know is for we.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes, that is correct. So we raise the issue of the Relver Hardware case. Now, Relver Hardware is the brethren that was shot.
We talked about
when we talked about the last program, we on the brethren phone. At that time when we talked about it, he was alive.
Yes.
After that, no, he died.
Yes.
But the police them shot the man and Brother Muta. So we raised that with him. As a matter of fact, we brought a busload of people from Harrison Town, just outside Ochi, that came in to Kingston to bring along to meet with the minister. And this included Jessica Hardware, that is Relver Hardware's mother. And she really poured out the whole thing to KD Knight. You know, to show what it's like when a mother lose a devoted son. She explained how our other children them gone abroad. Some gone Cayman, some gone America. Them say, no, say, Mama, I'm not leaving you, I staying with you. You know, a devoted son. He was what, 52 years old.
Yeah, big man.
Yes.
Big man, yeah.
And to know a policeman, and hear the irony now, the policeman is still on duty, you know. The policeman hasn't been charged yet. So you try peaceful means that look like you don't get no weird.
So when you tell him that the policeman is still on duty?
Of course, KD Knight say more look into this and,
more
you know,
yes. They look into already the man dead.
Them take statement already.
They look into already him dead.
You can imagine. Yeah. So we brought the mother so that she could explain all of that. And we brought eyewitnesses to the murder that they could tell the minister point blank what happened. We were also asking that there be a moratorium on the ganja situation. Because in that little period of time, several persons were shot by the police because of a spliff. Whether incident at Stony Hill, you're a policeman and you're a little wicked, pick up a woman because of a spliff. We had Junior Wilson in Spanish Town shot the policeman on him way to church. Give woman him wife a Bible for hole and come cross and shot the man because of a spliff.
The policeman go
at church
with him gun.
With him gun.
I don't think I remember Rasta. The policeman go to church with him gun. Give him wife the Bible.
Yes. Come cross the road and shot the man. First place. Came on a spark lockdown one Saturday.
So when you say this thing to KD Knight, what I'm saying?
KD Knight, you know, you see them, KD, he becomes such a professional politician. He will look into everything. Enough of this is not his responsibility, it's a commissioner of police responsibility. Some things are...
He is the highest authority.
He's responsible. Of course, man. I mean, of course. Muta turned out to be a war, almost a war between me and KD Knight. War, aggressive, vexness. One time I said to the man, Mr. Knight, we would like to help you, you know, because we realize that you are out of touch. Who out of touch? Is you out of touch? The minister tells me some mute a touch.
Are you the right dog at the guard?
Downtown every day. Coronation Market, Barry Street, by Queen Kingston Comprehensive High School. Me out a touch. So where him then? But that is because when you become so paranoid and demagogic, you know, you tend to become that aggressive. So we really felt sorry for him, may I tell you.
And he's feeling the pressure from other talk shows too.
The whole heap.
Everybody don't for this.
Yes, I call for him resignation more than anything else.
Yeah. More than any other politician, they ask him for resignation.
Yes, you know. So, and you know amazing thing, every time, you know, this is the second time since KD Knight is a politician that I have had a clash with him. There was a day when his constituency invited me to give a Black History Month talk. And whilst there, him passed through. He wasn't slated to be there, and him passed through, you know. Yeah. And when KD don't hear me get a talk, man, KD Knight get up and start to tell them how him is a student of Marcus Garvey. Him is a student of Malcolm X. Him is, going on blackness when he was abroad studying. Yeah. So the chairman, Fim Utah, the constituency, said, boy, him say, it's about 8 years now, we know this constituency with KD Knight. We never know that KD Knight is a student of all them people until Miguel Lorne come. Yeah, son. So I do all them little things all the while. But the thing we always say, and he said at this meeting, you know, I have never, and he emphasized never, smoked any ganja. Never smoke any spliff, never. But you know, the time KD Knight
what I mean?
But nobody ever believe him. For some reason, nobody ever believe him.
Why him say that? Why him say that?
It's a man who lick out hard against ganja, you know. Lick out hard against ganja. So people say, where you fight it so? You never tried it yet. You never tried it all the time and all this. And somewhere that no matter how much time, so they never. Nobody don't believe him. For some reason or other, people don't believe him. So,
all roads lead to St. Elizabeth. Yes!
About those things that relate to I and I in general, you know. We talk about the law, you know. And I know that the main subject all the while is to really bring across to I and I different aspects of the law that is outdated in relationship to how it was said because of the slavery times, still not amended, still not thrown out of our law books, but still used and can be used if necessary to really suppress and oppress I and I still, you know. I remember one time you was mentioning about we were regulated to selling certain provisions, gun provisions and food provisions. I don't remember if I can.
Yes, man.
Yeah, you was relating that it was in the books.
Yes, it was a law in Jamaica whereby certain trade was reserved for certain people, like, for example, the retail trade. That means things like the supermarket, grocery shop and all them things was reserved for the Chinese, the Syrians, the Indians.
This is actually written.
This was written law.
Written.
Right. And that black people now, the law said that black people could not revend the exact words of the law. In other words, we couldn't buy and sell things.
Yes.
So all we could have done now was sell fish where you catch a sea, fowl where you grow a yard, and ground provisions where you grow.
All right, so that is taken out of the books now.
That is taken out of the books.
Oh, because I don't want to know if all are illegal. We have become illegal.
No, but you see,
by all our bookstore and
but you see, the influence of that though, the impact of that is that although you might take the law out of the book, but the practice continue because the Chinese and them people still control the retail trade. And I still deal with them and I aspect.
They understand?
Yes.
We love to talk about our
And I'd like to say this as we talk about the law, you know, in terms of the Caribbean Court of Justice, when the news will eat these days. I'd like to state that I, man, in principle, fully support the Caribbean Court of Justice. We cannot talk about independence and still go into a white man in England. You understand? We as black people have to set up our own court. Now, most of the arguments that have been put forth against the Caribbean Court of Justice setting up at this time is, one, that they are saying that the possible appointment of corrupt judges
by politicians.
Two, the questioning of the independence of the judiciary, of the politicians. And 3, the long delays and costs and all these things that occur when people pursue justice. My point is this. These are things that concern anyone who is fighting for justice. And for persons to have this concern is because they know that it exists presently in the judicial system.
Okay.
So we should be fighting even more now to change it up, even within the present judicial system in Jamaica.
Because as we just mentioned, rightly, that these things take so long to go through that you almost say no one bother.
Yes.
And this is really when we have the British system a rule way.
Yes.
The British
Privy Council.
So if it takes so long at the Privy Council, which is the so-called epitome of councils, and we are trying to get rid of that now. Oh, we will get rid of that now because we can't get rid of it in the Privy Council, in the Privy Council, the length of time and all these things.
Might even take longer when we have our own.
Okay.
You see what I mean? It might even take longer.
All right, why you saying that take longer? Why it might take longer?
You see, the infrastructure hasn't changed, you know. Unless they plan to change the infrastructure. That means things like the taking of notes, the provision of documents and all these things is going to be much quicker within the Jamaica, within the Caribbean. Things would have to speed up considerably. And one of the things that I think could have made things speed up more is that, for example, when people bring a lawsuit, I am of the view that a youth will leave high school and once him fairly fluent and can read and write properly, like a youth will pass all 7 and 8 GC and all them things there, that youth should be able to file a case on his behalf. And consequently now this whole heap of thing where you have to go to the lawyer already have a whole heap of work, it will take a lot of time before him eventually reach filing it. And all them things they help hold back things too. There are a lot of the things them drafted in a very archaic manner. In the Queen name, where it, where unto, where to far, and where to.
Full-time English style.
Full-time, full English thing. Because it wasn't based upon law, you know. In them days there, the draftsman who draft the law, he was paid according to how much words he used.
Okay.
Yes. So them wherewithal and wherewithal. It's just pure words.
To get more money.
Definitely. It had nothing to do with the essence.
That is interesting.
Of the law.
So
we need to kick out all of them things, man.
Because sometimes you read it, you say, we're in that, within that, and because of that, dear add to, dear to, and dear for to, you know, it's so like you read a prescription. And you can't understand the prescription. Where you really need is some iron tablet.
That's right. That's
right. You need some iron tablet. Some lot of word. Where you carry to the pharmacist. You might go like him know something more than you. And when you end up and look on it, what you say, but you know, some iron tablet is that thing. Yeah, all right. So that's how the Caribbean thing.
So we figure that, you know, whether you have the Caribbean Court or the Privy Council, we need to clean up our judicial system and all them. Now, I have always advocated the community courts. We need to get back to the community. This is the African tradition where you have courts under a tree. You might have to have it under a tree now. You have community centers. But the whole idea is that the community courts, the community must try people. The community must decide justice. You know? And when I analyze what's going on in the schools them now.
They stick up in now. Yeah, the community, because you have a whole part that's going on in Jamaica right now.
But it's unofficial.
But it's done. All right. You have to know that you have to get rid of the state law, the state.
You have still have the state court for higher matters.
Okay. Oh, all right. It's like, all right. I think it's in America, you know. You have the state law and the federal law.
Yes.
You have the Supreme Court and you have the so it's something like that.
Yes, but we have got community now. Augustown.
But them are the state as a community as opposed to the federal government. Like for instance now, Florida state have its own laws.
Yes.
And them try them courts based upon the laws in the state. But then you have the Supreme.
Definitely.
Federal now, which is the same thing, but we don't have state, we have community.
Right. And also, in effect, we have some of that, you know, because we have the magisterial courts that sit in Trelawney, Falmouth, you know, Montego Bay.
But the laws in Falmouth is the same as the law in Kingston.
Yes.
But in America, I don't see so.
No.
The laws, we can run California, not necessarily run Minneapolis.
That is correct.
All right. So how would that structure now?
The community
court now. And though, when I say a community court that is not run by criminals also in the community.
No, we don't want defense.
You have set it up. You have set up that.
All right. This is how now. We have the presidents in Africa, whereby the elders now in that community would have come together. You understand? You have a permanent elders council. And on a court day, those elders will come together, whether 7, 9, you have a certain amount of elders. A matter is placed before them. And they in turn now would, if they think necessary, would send and call witnesses. If the body of the Genie did it and Genie said them, let us ask a man for call Genie. And Genie come and say, and just talk what she say. And then they would give a decision which will be considered binding. They had community courts up at Stony Gut, Paul Bogle and them used to think. All right. The next question that you may ask me now is, how do we implement the decisions? Like, for example, with a lot of the community courts, the emphasis was on restitution. That
to the next family,
compensation. So if you take with a man cow, you have to give back 3 cow, or you're going to have to work for the family for a month. There was less emphasis on imprisonment.
But you're not advocating that for murder, though. You're not going to carry that to the federal, to the higher court now. You wouldn't have a community court for a murderer.
No, we'll probably carry that to the higher.
But like, for instance, now, pre-lasting and them things,
many incidents could have been tried at the
wife beating and everything, you call up a man and say, what do you mean to do that?
Yes. And I feel the community usually have a little more knowledge of the parties and can therefore adjudicate much better.
Yes. Because where I say up now that in community courts now, a man rob a woman and him go to the Dan, and the Dan go to the man and say, watch, I care about the woman things,
And it carry back. That's how downtown run now. And it run very effective.
Yes, because man tell her, I got on a year with you the other day, and I was about at the safest place, and that kids, that Jamaica, you're right though, They say, well, it looks so, because everybody look like them smiling. You can see it, so it's a thing. I kind of see, because I understand the community in Africa, but I just do I find out. I met the people them find out. Where they say, they say, if a man try for murder, if you call some man that come here to try him, and then what you gonna do with him? Store him to death, The community gonna start store him to death, Because a man right now shot his man to death. When you find him guilty of rape and all everything there, Yeah, this is the continent that I FM coming through. In the beginning I mentioned the Holy PB and the going to Africa for this thing in February. Who don't get responsible for this? Which part in Johannesburg, which part in Cape Town, which part?
I don't get all of the details yet. All I get is some newspaper clippings and some little things.
But because it's published.
Yes.
The whole thing.
Yes.
It's that thing. You know, they done IRV thing. Saturday.
Yes.
And it did mention reasonings where I for reason and debate for certain things that confront we as Rasta. I don't know how important it is for people who is not Rasta, at least in the culture, if you even hear certain reasoning, right? So maybe it is important for I have that reasoning there as Rasta. But on a wider scale now, a whole heap of ones out there now I look to Rasta for some solution to something. You hear it on the road, you hear the taxi man them, man I said, well, I tell you the truth, Rasta, anytime we're ready, we're ready, and man come on my shop every day and I say, well, I will not do Rasta. I mean, so the thing gone, Rasta, we're ready for it, I think. Sometimes I wonder how genuine this question is, and then sometimes I wonder also, really and truly, what position I in this time I know to really take certain things from his shoulder. The man said the government shall be upon his shoulder. I have the manpower, I have the structure, I have the brilliance to deal with something like that. I have read Bonnie Wheeler saying him going to start a political party. I hear even Jah lied for years advocate a political party.
Rasta Black now.
Yes, him a run for
set up a political.
Sam Brown was the first Rasta man, we know.
Yes.
Go into this thing.
Yes.
At the time, no man never born him, but them just never vote for him.
Yes.
And I remember Steve McDonald.
Yes.
Remember him?
Yes.
Him did run a thing. I never hear nobody born him, but nobody never does vote for him.
Right. Now campaign with him.
Yeah. How effective you think this would have been now in a Jamaica? Suppose you hear a Bonnie Wheeler out there, a run in an election or a Asta Black. Well, Asta Black in a Trelawney, but Bonnie Wheeler is an international Rasta man and everybody respect Bonnie Wheeler at a certain level. But politically now, how you feel that?
All right. You see what has happened now, Muta, and the Rasta man have to realize this now. You see programs like these, Andrew Williams, Sunderman, she's doing some very good programs, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
That program where she lick up them maroons, they were sell out that thing on the birthday. I mean, I have to really congratulate her.
I call her and congratulate her.
Well, I did that too.
I end up putting even lick up his half year.
Yes, myself had to call her half a year.
And make an impression because the next week.
Yes, some of the maroons them turn up.
Them want fire against that brother there.
Yes, definitely. And declare that they were not party to that.
Yes, yes.
So, no, this is the thing now we confront Rasta now. Bring the level of consciousness of the people. Is Rasta waking it up now, you know?
Yes.
Rasta bring them to a certain level. Because whether we like it or not, you know, when we song and talk about certain things, it is political, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
When we say to people, think Africa, think black, buy black, open businesses, it's very political. So, having done all of this over the years now, naturally, the people them figure say Rasta should do much more now.
Than just educate
them. Having educate them, having bring them to a certain level. If you just leave them now, you know.
Yeah, but what we ask now, are they educated? That is the next thing now.
I would say...
Are the people at the position now to truly accept Rastafari as a political force? Are them just seeing Rastafari as a cultural entity amongst them?
This is how I see it.
Yeah.
We have two cultures in Jamaica. We have the upper class, institutional Babylon culture. We have popular culture, roots people, grass people, poor people level. At that level, Rastafari is playing the leadership role. It is when that now clash with the Babylon culture that them now will not accept Rasta. Rasta in a parliament, no want that. Rasta own this, Rasta, them don't want that.
Yeah.
No, and therein lies now that vacuum between. So if it leave up to them, no, them is the minority, you know.
Yeah.
The system people.
Yeah, all right, no.
Them is the minority. The majority of the people, in my view. I mean, if you go down a Matches Lane, you say Haile Selassie I paint up. You go down a Tivoli, Haile Selassie I paint up. If you go down a Jungle, Haile Selassie I paint up. Greenwich Farm, Haile Selassie East.
This is, to me, the culture. And I am seeing that the majority of people will accept aspects of the culture. I'm on the ball out Jah more than when we say Jesus right now, right? I'm on to put on a red, gold, and green hat. I'm on to smoke herbs. I'm believe them is Rasta. But when it comes on to know the food, the clothes, and the shelter, which is very political now, I want to know if the majority, the masses of the people, the black people in Jamaica, really believe in themselves. Say Rasta can offer them something outside of this what we call Babylonian system now and take it serious.
I feel so.
You feel so?
Definitely. And I think the people are actually expecting that. That Rasta know.
That's our upper class and the masses.
You know, so one day, you know, you just one of the real days now drive and figure, and you know, sometimes you drive to some bag walk and then place there is which station your reader can pick up. And my reader could only pick up multi station. And somebody just per chance, you know, somebody phone in and say, oh, them say Muta Baruch as Prime Minister.
Yes, serious.
Yes, serious question I ask, you know. And you know, Moti ridicule enough things and joke out enough things. But Moti gave a very, very sensible answer. It wasn't long, you know. But generally Moti was saying, why not? And, you know, I think him could handle it and them type of thing there. Now, that is the level that you need to make the people think now.
Yeah.
Muta Baruka, come take you in a stage show, listen to you on the radio, come to the bookshop, listen to your reasoning and so on. No, Muta Baruka as the man who can run a ministry.
That I want to find out now. Is the people ready to hear?
But if we don't start them
Muta
more
Baruka in our ministry or a Bonnie Wheeler
in our ministry,
in other words, Miguel Lorne in our ministry, that I want to
all right.
Yeah.
I would have known, and many ones would have known, say, I know Muta can run the Ministry of Education better than who they know.
Well, I feel so too.
I know, I'm more than know. So
I feel so too.
Yeah.
I know what is education as opposed to indoctrination.
I read, and I know the curriculum and all of these things. There'll be no doubt that every ticket who graduate would have know about Marcus Garvey, Taki, Paul Bogle, Sam Sharp. That would be easy.
Yes.
Do you understand? And would have people are graduate with more self-confidence, with more power, with more...
I would give them then the motivation.
Definitely, my brother. Yes. So, all right.
So now you have to go find somebody now who will link the education now with technology now.
Yes.
So now you have to go find a Rasta man now who, after you give the people them, after Muta Baruka as the Minister of Education now, show them this education now. There is a man, there's a next Rasta man out there that's going to take the baton now and say, this is the technology now, going to advance the education.
Right. Well, in the Ministry of Commerce and Technology now, but we have no Rasta in that field now.
No, I know we have the Rasta in the, you know, you see, I am aware.
Between Redwood and all them, man.
I am totally aware that you have Rasta who is capable to do certain things, you know. But I am wondering, is the people, is the people seeing us as just a cultural force? To be I mean, we have shown ourselves as a cultural without a doubt. If it was a Rasta, you wouldn't have no Jamaica internationally. It's Rasta influenced Bob Marley. Bob Marley influenced the world of reggae music. You know, the red, gold, and green, the dreadlocks. I mean, this is obviously, without a doubt, the culture of Jamaica.
Stone Cold promotion.
So see how much dancehall come now. We realize that the dancehall is still not going to overtake the Rasta culture because even the dancehall artists project Rasta culture too. All right. So we have to know, we have shown ourselves as a cultural force.
Yes.
And the people, them accept that. But I want to know now, if really and truly, genuinely, no, you know, the people, them would have give credence to a Miguel as a minister in the parliament, no, there's a dreadlocks, a Rasta man who has the Island Selassie, who has smoked ganja and all them things. I want to know, as a minister now, if they would have really give credence to that. You know, I don't really need more education.
All right. I don't think it's more education. I think what we need now is that as a result of emphasizing the culture and other aspects, we have carried them in a certain mindset.
Yes.
We need to take them out of that mindset now and let them start to realize that we can run
more than a culture.
Definitely.
Yes. All right.
So it might need, but later you always thing, you know, say we always about something about when the students are ready.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. When the teacher the students
is ready, the teacher will always arrive.
Yeah. When the students are ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a situation now that the people now need to not just become more conscious and more aware, but from a point of view now, I've started to realize now that a Bonnie Wheeler can actually be a minister.
Politician.
Yes, a minister of justice.
Yeah. Just a politician.
Yeah.
All right. And Asta Black can be a politician. All right. So what
I don't like the word politician, and people don't like the word politician.
But you see,
I know what you mean.
It's a reach.
Yes.
It's a reach now.
Yes.
I know them don't like the word, but it's not the word now we are dealing with now.
Yes.
Is the
function.
The culture. Is where it represents.
Yes.
All right. We are looking Jalide now. Jalide over the years are content politically for the what them call it, the constitution,
right?
Constitutional reform, right? Him don't get the much support that he would have won from even his own brethren them. Maybe because of his reputation amongst his brethren them, maybe because of his way of projecting it, them don't get that support. All right. we say historian come with a very political mind. One of the most political minded Rasta I know about the place, right? It goes into that. If don't get the support, say like Sam Brown, then they come and them thing there. All right. I would have declared so we're in a new era of Rastafari, especially right now when we say Rastafari now is not just some elders, but you have young people now. What you have scientists, you know, you have Rastas who's versed in computers, you know what I mean? You have little bridge in the
international relations,
which is not outside of culture now, which is outside of culture now, right? And we know Rastas who is in, you know, who's working, you know, as, you know, some
architecture, agriculturalist,
all right,
and so on.
I am looking at all these things and I am saying now, the only people them, the only Rastas that the people them identify clearly is the artists. Clearly, the artists. So
those that them, them know those
through the music. Them know that. And in the view of the people, them an artist is an artist. If it's professing a certain culture and him go up on the stage and jump up and him say Jar Rastafari and him say certain thing, Bun Rome or you know, we have to start certain thing. Him just see them as an artist. So him put you in a category. All right now. All we're going to make the people them know that outside of this artist expression, there are prejudice and system out there that has nothing to do with the music, that is making a genuine, positive
and
contribution,
probably more effective contribution
to not just Jamaica now, but as a Rasta person. You have a Rasta woman who teach Babylon picnic and teach even people who are going to teach Babylon picnic too. So we don't hear of these Rastafari. So people is continuously looking at us as just a culture. All you think we need to propagate now this aspect of Rastafari, because over the years we have just propagated the smoking of the herbs, you know, the dreadlocks, the music and all these things. All right now. See, because we're in a new era now, we need to make people know, the people them know, the masses of the people know. So look here, you have Rasta who know computer to the heights, you know. You have Rastas who know about water irrigation and land development and town planning like any other person. You have Rastas who is lawyers, you know, who can articulate Babylon law and get you off a certain Babylon crimes too, you know. You don't feel that is next and the next part of the education. Because as I say, all right, you say your reason, I genuinely don't feel say the people them know
ready for that,
are ready for that aspect of Rasta. Because Rasta has not emphasized that part of them liberty, that part of themselves, you know, it's art and craft.
Even worldwide. Worldwide, a man come on here, him expect just to the Rasta man play music or smoking ganja and things like that. People come to my office and tell me that man from South Africa, I didn't know you have a Rasta man who's a lawyer.
You know, I am always, you know, smiling in my heart when I am talking to certain people in states or foreign that them hear I articulate certain things and they start asking if I go to university. And I said, no, them said, why your eloquence and how you put cross thing. I said, but you see it, and you never think that we don't go sing and jump up on stage. You see, you think that we don't go write about, you know, Jar Rastafari, Eli, and this thing. You know, say we can stand up in front of professors, and you know, I have so much universities in the world here.
And talk, not even perform.
When I've done this program, I'm on my way to Yale. There's a whole of people would love to go. I know I'm finding myself going to talk to students, not listen to, but talk to students and professors.
I should let them know Yale is one of the biggest universities
in the world.
Yes.
And I am now called upon to articulate my perspective, because people is listening to me now and saying, why I have a perspective making clear. So I am saying now, the people them need. And that seems a Rasta afraid. And not Rasta, maybe not afraid, but it's almost like...
We need to open up now.
To open, to say, look here now, we are capable, you know. And this, we have
the abilities, we have the
abilities to deal with it.
But you know, as there are reasons, you know, come to my mind, it's like Manley is remembered as a man who do certain things and go on like him support Rasta and all them with it. And Bob and Manley have reasoning and Bob go up on stage and you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so on. But you know, so when Manley realized no, sir, Rasta man is a checking data now. It was a different thing altogether, you know. That's what I mean.
I know a minister right now, I'm two people that are Rasta.
When Manley realized that part, you know, who? No!
Is it too near to come fast?
Definitely no.
Too near to come fast.
Let the man know say some passing gate again, what go happen. And if he's out there, I've been seen with him again and what go happen.
And this is the liberal Michael Manley.
Yes.
Well, this
so, in other words, it's all right. When him can come and show up.
Yeah, from a distance. Love from a distance.
Yes.
Love from a distance.
But in my house now.
No, you don't have that joke at all. This is the continent that I refer.
Yeah, man. It's a good corruption.
Man, you've met the I know, say, this I man is the manager for Bounty Hunter.
Are you man?
Yes,
Are you man?
Yes,
I'm serious.
So it's enough things now we're going to know, sir.
First I used to play him on the running up.
Yes, man, and we are carried a step further. One man and know said Bounty Hunter is not an ordinary. You have one no pan it, you know, number 9 and motor run for 6 pounds. A very, very.
I'm going to drop it a little more.
Yes, I could make them. Yes, I'll
run. That youth have a reason with and it's gone beyond just music.
Yeah, man. And he's a man who buy enough book on the bookshop, you know.
Yeah,
yes, he's a man who take him, you know, education and him knowledge.
Because I notice a whole heap, we notice now, you see, like the Virginia, you know, and everyone talk about it, but the Virginia now, inconsistent with him reasoning. What else they happen now with certain popular Rasta DJ? That it's like they might go back into the woman reasoning. I don't know if they notice it.
Yes, man.
This tune them, where you hear them come out with now, the Rasta one them, where they talk the culture, deep culture. It's like the woman thing come back. You know, because it's two them that come from the woman thing, they might kind of bring back the woman thing now, but in a kind of Rasta way, kind of pretty it up.
Yes.
It's like I'm going to talk about Jesus and I say Jesus, but it's the same Jesus in my king pan.
Yes.
It's the same thing I hear now, and I notice certain ones on stage right now who was very in the cultural vibes, them gone back at the slackness. But they might try to put it in a Rastas. It's like a slack Rasta.
Yeah.
You know, we don't understand.
No,
we don't understand,
yes.
you know.
I think a lot of them too, you know, you come off a track after a while and them no for them, you see, you have to have up to date, you know. You can't just back in a little corners and just see two things and cities and come out with it, you know. You know, man like Bob and them, man, they're internationalists, travel worldwide.
Yes.
You reflect. So it reflects back.
And not afraid to open your mind to different people.
Definitely.
But you know what is the weirdest thing to, when you have man around you, you feed your ego.
Yes.
You see, when you have man around you, I tell you how great you is and all you this and all
and
this.
everything you say is yes.
Yes. You know, because you see, when I know this, you see a man who move with a woman afraid to tell him, say, watch ya. Why, Muta? Like what you say last night, you know. And you have to contend with her about that, no, you have to reason it. But it's when you don't some yes man, anything when you say them, say, why, Muta? Why, you're wicked, you know.
Yeah, especially when you are feed them.
Yes. Oh, gosh, man, that's worse.
Yes.
When them have to depend on you for money, there's nothing you can do wrong.
Definitely.
You know, see, nothing you can do wrong. But that's why I say now, some of them crew, when you say about the place, is detrimental to the artist.
Most detrimental. And you watch the artist deteriorate.
Yes. You watch anything what the artist do.
Yeah, man.
Them don't say yes.
Definitely.
You know? And that's why I say all the while, that's why for years now I have born crew without woman. I don't see how a man can walk up and down with 10 man and no woman are the wrong him. You know, see, I don't see how a Rasta man can walk up and down with man, and then when you see him now, is a woman where he must fight against fair type. In him sang them. You know, it's like you see a man now who is healing of Rastafari so much. But when you see him out there, him woman in a tights, in a bun up ear, eye ear, catch up with falls here and thing, and a fingernail them gone out there, so like Dracula and all these things, you know. But yet still him is the one where him cry bring down hell and damnation for a daughter out there. You know, see, and then when you see him now, him have 50 man a walk behind him. And I feed him ego and I massage him ego so much. You know, see, it's a serious thing. So, and I listen to the music, them, you know. I listen to them, you know.
See, my and
Yeah, I listen to them and I say, but wait, because we are going here, so. Alright? We know a man used to talk certain things when him know Rasta. But him come Rasta, and then now him start to elevate the music and the words of the music. But it's like almost like, why right now, him just, you know what you was, you become still, is still, but you go on like say it's not, it's still. So you find, you know, in the music now, him kind of try mask the nastiness we have in himself with the Rasta vibe. But eventually it's going to come out because you see more and more, the more tune he make, is the more you creep back out. It's a creep out back out time.
And what you find in the Bramuta, a lot of the musicians' vocabulary is very limited.
Yes.
Very limited, I say. If you make 10 albums, the range of words used
and the subject too.
Yes, is the same.
Yeah,
just my twist a little way and all of that.
Yeah, well, the same.
See, they're not reading. They're not, like you said, now is the age of information.
Yes.
And in the age of information, if you're not keeping up and moving, you're going to be left behind.
Yes, stagnant water.
Definitely.
Yeah,
you have to call a 6 pants.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, all those who are on, it's like you must send them go down a West Bank, you know.
Miguel managed bounty on that one. So Miguel come by the country there. Wow, come on, bounty on there now. No, it's a person that like.
Definitely, but go on to the Cherry Natural CD too, you know.
Go to the Cherry Natural. Yeah. Where the middle? Yeah, man, the Cherry Natural.
No, yes.
No, okay, Cherry Natural. Otherwise it was. Yeah, all right. We're going to give you a next bounty hunter. You know, we always say before all of these DJs who is chanting all this so-called culture, bounty hunter was there. As a matter of fact, a lot of them is influenced by this brethren here, bounty hunter. But this brethren don't come off of the track. As I can see, him don't come off of the track. So maybe because him don't come off of the track, him don't get the hype. I don't know. Maybe him do have a whole heap of man behind him. I don't know. Him have a whole heap of man behind him.
Him have a whole heap of brethren, but you don't say a whole heap of but him have a whole heap of brethren and
no, but him have a whole heap of brethren, say, but I don't know if him have a whole heap of brethren behind him. Because I tell you, Rasta, I tell you, you have some show that keep nowadays, you know. That when certain artists come in, you know them come in, Rasta. Because you have, no, you cannot imagine you as a promoter keep a show. And you contract a man to do a show. And you say, him not have no money, no. Him not carry no money, no. And you ask him, so, how much pass you supposed to get? And him say, boy, right now, him have a crew. I make him say him have a crew at 10. Him not have no money, no. Because he's a man who have band supposed to get 10 pass, you know. But make him say him have a crew at 10. By the time the night of the show, him not come yet, you know. But you have at least 20. Of Rastafari. One of the things over here, people address out the regular. Them love Rasta. Well, that's the first thing we see. We see there's more love for Rasta now, too. Especially even among so-called middle class young people. There's a lot of love. I can feel it for Rasta out there. Them, a lot of them don't express it, but you know when time certain things come up, you can see it. I would if I want to say, well, Rasta, we need more unity. I don't know, I don't understand what them understand about unity. But I am getting a thing that Rasta to I is very unified. But what we don't have is the uniformity, and I am thinking that that is what they mean rather than unity. Because there can be unity without uniformity. What I mean by that, what I mean by that is that you have the Bobo, you have the Nyabingi, and people are say, well, you have Bobo, you have 12 tribes, you have Nyabingi. Where people want Rasta to be saying one thing right across the board. I am not feeling that because you have Bobo, you have Nyabingi, and you have 12 tribes. There's no unity. I think there's no uniformity in the theology. There's no uniformity in how we go about the culture, the philosophy. But there is unity. Because right across the board, every man will tell you about Haile Selassie. And Rasta will defend Rasta. A man will hear Muta up on the radio right now, and he will cuss Muta because Muta said about something, and I don't agree with it. But innately, him don't want a Babylonian out there. Said nothing against Mota Baruka. You know, see it. He will say, hey, if you love him, Rasta, you know, see it the way there. He will fight for Mota. But when him sit down with him brethren and I listen to Mota, he must say, hey, how Mota deal with Rasta? The man don't deal with nothing. You understand? So that's why that there's no uniformity in the philosophy. But when it comes on to the unity now, I am wondering if the people them understand the difference between what is unity and what is uniformity. Because I am seeing Christianity unified, but not uniformed. Because I have different denominations and people don't go out there and say Christianity is not unified. Them say the Christianity is not people don't criticize Christianity because it has 7 days. Roman Catholic and Jehovah. Them criticize Christianity because of what they might as a unit done in history. So I am not criticizing 7-day Jehovah when it's a Roman Catholic. I am criticizing Christianity because Christianity is what has perpetuated a lot of the evils of black people. So I am not specifying now. You know, but in terms of the unity now, all the I see, I have a relationship with that aspect of the thing. The unity has relationship to the uniformity.
I would put it not just within Rasta, but within the black community, the broader African tradition.
Yes.
And it's that thing that bothers my mind to the point where I really analyze it over the years. The way I see it, black people will unite around causes, around specific events, around specific goals like and objectives.
Football,
yes.
I like Black in the Street.
Right. Or Free Nelson Mandela. You know, and I bring it down to this. If 20 of I and I in our vehicles and with our each vehicle pack up and we are traveling from Kingston to Montego Bay and one vehicle break down, we're either going to come out and fix that vehicle, if we can't fix it, but make sure secure it, park it, and the occupants join other vehicles. But at the end of the day, we all are going to make it to Montego Bay. So we have to have a specific objective. Because great man, Bob, enough man come along, Africans unite and and wanting this unity. But it come like it's just talk. But whenever we see certain objectives now, we will work towards it. And it's along those lines now that I see that we're going to have to identify more and more objectives.
I'm going to keep the eye on the prize.
Definitely.
There's a prize out there.
Definitely. One of the things that in this now, what I call my second advent within the legal tradition, I really, because during the time now out, I get to look on some things that were my objectives and which I have to achieve. One of the things is that I must file a suit against the government of Jamaica for the atrocities done to black people during slavery by the government and by the courts, the governmental arms, the courts, the police, and so on. Specific atrocities done. Now, why we want to sue the Jamaican government, you know? Because we are joining the Prime Minister and the Governor General and so on in the lawsuit, you know? Here I want it, you know, because some people will say, why sue your own black people? My point is, and when I study the law and the Constitution, is that the chain of government was never broken. The chain of the court system was never broken from the colonial masters to a new government. PJ Patterson and them just continued in the same vein as the colonial master, and they inherited and carried on. So I'm saying that the atrocities done by the white man, you can get sued and therefore be subject to compensation for it. And I want to test it, and I'm doing extensive research on it. So I will bring a lawsuit along them. I am hoping that when we bring these lawsuits, this can be used as part of the galvanizing force to help gel the people around specific objectives for compensation for what was done to I and I as black people. And the lawsuit which I'm going to work on is, as Rasta now, we have to sue the government. There are some laws which I have discussed this with, and they feel that it would be statute bar, that means the time is too far. But I was still about to test it. For the atrocities done to Rastafari now over the years.
Especially in the Carol Garden thing.
Carol Gardens will be highlighted. And
what they say, the Carol Garden thing's too far.
In civil law, in lawsuits normally, in civil law, for most matters like these, you have a time span. You understand what I mean? in some instances, matters of negligence and so on is 6 years, you know.
So what about crimes against humanity?
This is it now. You hit the nail right on the head. I plan now to use more of the international law.
Crimes against humanity?
Definitely. And in crimes against humanity now at the international law level, it states specifically that the heirs of those who have suffered can sue the heirs of those who cause the suffering. There are overs now.
Yeah,
there's no time bar on that.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the humanity.
Definitely. So we want to bring that into it now. So these are some of the issues that I and I feel now that as Rasta, as black people, white, and there might be other brothers and sisters who have other objectives in mind, that as we work towards these objectives, it will help to bring the unity together.
All right. Kojo, you remember Kojo?
Yes,
I reasoned with Kojo the other day, and Kojo have this idea. Kojo is saying that on Black History Month, we should either ask, sponsor, or in some way get the Gleaner to publish every article that they publish and the atrocities that was placed against Rasta, that they have printed in a series of articles coming out in the Gleaner.
I would support that 100%, you know. As to the legality of getting them, you know, because them
well, we say maybe not getting them. Yeah. Well, what I was saying that there's many ways to do it. So we're either going to ask them, just like in the Gleaner, they have a thing about historical dates.
Yes.
These are the things that happen in certain dates in history. Days in our history. And then start to show you in 19 that.
Right.
All right. Either see it going off a similar line, but taking up more space.
Yes.
So it's either we're going to ask them to, on Black History Month, republish the headlines and the articles about Rastafari that they had published, or we know is going to sponsor and pay for pages.
Yes.
That for the whole month
would highlight these things.
Highlight. I think it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
It's also one have to approach it with caution. That Gleaner there, you know, would really, when the Gleaner is going to say that we must congratulate the people of higher intelligence for trimming and shaving these disheveled creatures. The Gleaner used to encourage people to break the law, to hurt Rasta, you know. Yeah,
but you can go down to the papers right now and get that out of the... You can get those.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you can pay for it.
Yes. Go to the Institute of Jamaica.
Yeah.
And
but
get that.
Even to down the Gleaner. You can go down the Gleaner and run through them. You have a thing where you can run through the thing and get it
on the computer and so on.
Get it copied.
I'm not going to the Gleaner, but
you can get it on the Institute. But you can get all of the back Gleaners.
Yes.
In the Institute of Jamaica.
Yes.
All right. So what will be stopping I and I now?
From answering some of these things.
In the Gleaner. Not on our next newspaper, you know.
Yes.
We're going to pay for.
You don't think them would have war with you?
Who?
The Gleaner.
No, we're not talking them war with now. We're talking about now making highlighting in Black History Month.
Yes.
Headlines that was relevant and related to things that was confronting Rasta from the early 1930s until now. Spent 28 days in February to highlight 28 different things that happened in the history of Rastafari in Jamaica. That I don't mean if them owe we are not. Because if them want to publish it, them free, because we can ask them.
Yeah.
But no, not making it go out as just something, as an idea. We would try to get it published in the major newspaper, which is the Gleaner.
Yes.
Even the Star, even the Star, I don't know how we can relate to it, because that was that thing we covered the show, and I was seeing it as something where I feel it is good for Black History Month. Carol Garley incident, there's so much that was written during that time. Buster Manti, go down there.
Back to Africa too.
Yeah, and the thing we just tell you about say we are good thanks to them for trim Rebecca.
Yes.
I feel so we could have really pursued the matter still. Well, I don't know the idea.
Right, yes, of course. We want to explore all of them things there, so we probably initially know. Well, that's the thing, Muta. When we come on them program, and the reasoning and the vibes. So much ideas come up.
Yeah.
But we don't want it to stop at the program.
No, I never stop it today. I just tell you, say, Kojo.
I know, but what we
Me and Kojo did the reason about it, and I did think that it was a great idea that I should
probably what we need is a secretary, you know.
Yeah.
When we sit in for them program, we need a secretary for right down.
No, I don't forget. I don't forget because I in line with Kojo here, and like.
But it's a whole lot of things come up since night.
Yeah, I know, but I am going to go back to Kojo, you know, and say, Kojo. Maybe I don't know if I listen to it, but I have to say, Kojo, it's the thing when I read about every day. We mentioned it to Miguel, you know.
Yes.
And now millions of Rastas are here without it now, so we need to get that going, you know.
And we want to implement it. But to the point you make about how serious the people is and how the people are seeing Rasta outside of the cultural norms, that is as a musician and so on and so forth. I could have used myself as a little example. You understand what I mean? Because I think I'm outside of the cultural norms.
Yes.
And even now, the response to I-Man, knowing that I-Man can carry the cases them to the court and agitate for justice and rights for people and all of that. Tremendous, Brother Muta.
Yes.
The amount of ones to come forward. It's like the whole court system of the island wake up here now.
Yes.
I mean, I thought that's from the people point of view. You know, I talk all judges call me, you know. And I say, yo, Miguel, strength in strength. This is it. Fight on.
Yeah.
You have judges that listen to all the cutting.
Yeah, I remember when we go up at the thing there, up at Stone Hill there.
Yeah.
And did I get them reading?
Right. And all them little way there. So what we are saying now is that there are people then who are looking at I&I outside of that and expect a certain standard of I&I. Because people know so well over the years, Miguel have a reputation now for when you come on to all, especially Miguel and police, they don't like Miguel and Miguel don't like them, so it's war in a court every time. You understand what I mean? And as a result of that, gradually now, it's building along that line as to what you expect from a Rasta man who is challenging the justice system.
Yes. And they have to know, say, a Rasta like, stay that way.
Yes. And in other areas too. Just like I mentioned, you have brethren like Brother Camus, Karengo, who teaches up at Calabar, who excel as a maths teacher. You know, fantastic. So I think it's growing.
You have a brethren who
highlight them more now.
You have a brethren who don't Excelsior, who always writing articles in the paper about financial.
Whose analytical mind is amazing.
Definitely.
And who's a man who used to work with Boys Town football team and all of that. So there are. But like I said now, and in the reasoning earlier on, how do we get that into the people's mind that there are brothers and sisters who are ready to take on administrative responsibility and who have a track record? It's not just like us, I say, come on, they have credentials, I have that, but a track record of the. No people who know some Muta Baruka promote songs. That you produce songs.
But I'm not preaching still.
Yes, but you don't hear it so properly. They just accuse the Muta talk and things. But you know, when I listen to the Cherry Natural Fireborn thing and then something said about this one is produced by Muta Baruka. I say, wait,
we record it and produce it because we hear I say it one time and we say, why, this should have gone there. Papa would have gone. You know, it should have gone there. But I would like, you say, I a dub poet, I can't what people say. But you know, true, I know I use the poetry for really as a part of my consciousness. I would never did want one just call a poet every time and then when they think about I as a man who just said dub poetry. Because I think, as a thinker, I feel that I can articulate my thoughts and articulate my philosophy to anyone.
Well, you have a track record of doing it.
But the people have a thing when it's artists that them don't feel that artists can articulate something outside of his profession. You know, so every artist is musician and musician talk about music. You know, them don't feel that you have artists who
can be teachers.
Can be teachers, can be computer wizards. You know?